2, 1, and we're live. Welcome everybody. Welcome also you who are watching online. Welcome to another episode of the Human Design Experience podcast. This is in the series of the manifesting generator type. This is the second episode in that series. It's a close one to my heart. I'm a manifesting generator myself. And yeah, my journey with human design, it's, I won't say it was been a solitary one, but to a certain extent. But I have deep love to connect with people who are on this human design journey. So I'm super nice to see you guys. I will just get up my presentation here now in a few moments. Let's see here. Here we go. No, that was the wrong one. Today is a little bit of technical issues. Let's see here. I have so many things open here. There we go. There we go. So yes, welcome to another podcast. As I already said, this is a podcast with only manifesting generators present. That's the concept of this. I like to do this. It gives me something special. I've also been part of aura experiments, in aura, and had the opportunity to be in these, shall we say, the pure aura groups. Not that I'm a purist in that sense, but it's something special to be gathered only one type. And the focus or the theme of this episode is anger. I have called it anger management for manifesting generators. So we will keep the focus a little bit on anger, that part of our not self, that part of ourselves. Of course, we, as with human design and conversation, it can lead anywhere, but let that be the framework of our episode today. So here you are, guys. Take a look. It's everybody here, except might a few of you that I didn't manage to get the chart up. When we come to your individual charts, we will of course get it up. But this was to give you an overview over who's here. And what was very interesting for me, as I put these charts up, as people started to join, is that I saw that there was from early on, when I had, I think, 12 people here, now there is much more. There was always this perfect split between sacral authority and emotional authority between us manifesting generators. And we know that from the knowledge. There's approximately 50% in the world who has emotional definition. There's approximately 50% who has an open emotional definition. So I, for the courtesy and politeness of the other, I'm open emotional. So I started with the emotionals. You can see up here to the left, we start with Annette, Barbara. I can, because of Zoom here, I cannot see all of the names here, but perhaps you can see more of them. And it goes, all the emotional definitions goes until Taisha here on the middle. Shall we see? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's, no, I'm sorry, Pamela. Excuse me, Pamela. It goes until Pamela. I lost my count, but there was 8. So that's 11 with solar plexus definition here. So there's 11 manifesting generators with emotional authority here. And that's super cool. And then starting with Elsa, going then all the way in the end here. No, I cannot see. Oh, there we can. I can move myself. So only in the end there with my chart, we are the open emotional ones with sacral authority. And I think this is just remarkable with human design. When I've done workshops or whatever I've been part of, we often see the same, shall we say, statistics, especially with the emotional, open emotional and defined emotional. And I didn't count here, but there should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's 11 with emotional authority and 11 with sacral authority. Let me just add, you also have sacral authority, no, your emotional ones, but just for the kind of, shall we say, the lens of this experiment, we can differentiate between us. When we get down the road here and talk about anger, I, for one, look really forward to hear from a manifesting generator with emotional authority how you experience anger and how that might be different to me, for example. So let's continue. Just in the beginning here, I made some statistics based on the charts. I did not manage to update them in the end. There was a lot of people who joined in the end. So as I told you, there was in the beginning it was 12 people, and there was even a split between the solar plexus authority and the sacral authority. And now double the amount with 11 solar plexus authority and 10 sacral authority. So it's very, very interesting to see that. I did not manage to update the profiles. I only had about 12 people at that point, but we had at that point 2 1-3s, 1-2-4, 1-4-1, 2-5-1s, 1-5-2, 1-3-5, 5-4-6s, which is interesting. And I'm grateful that you're here, you know, part of the network in your fourth line, and also as a role model or wherever you are in your journey there. And we had at least 1-6-2 and a 6-3, but of course that those numbers are different now. I will update them in retrospect, and I will share the presentation with you. Yes, and again, thank you for your donations. Just reminding you politely about that. Again, you have the opportunity. For now, it's either through PayPal or directly to my bank account. I'm working on an easier solution for the future. But I really, really appreciate that, and it goes directly into kind of improving this podcast and make it better. So it will benefit also you who are joining. Just fast agenda for today. Introduction by host Christo Baltasar, which is me. I'm already doing the introduction. I will soon be finished. So thank you for your patience still. And then we will just jump into the participant introduction or discussion, call it that. I'm using a democratic way of giving the word here today. The first one who mailed me is the first one who gets the word, and etc., etc., etc. But I invite you to, you know, present yourself shortly, your design, where you live, when you met human design, what, you know, just what's on your heart there, and then you can kind of follow. I'm going to start with this, kind of introducing my design more. But yes, I also just invite you to kind of keep that frame of anger when it comes to you. If you want to share something about that, or, you know, if you don't want that, that's also okay. Share whatever you feel like. You're here, you had time to speak, and I look forward to hear from you. And then in the end, if we have time and yeah, if there is questions, we will do a Q&A, question and answer session, and then discuss around that. So, my friends, just checking the chat log here before we go. Yeah, let's dive into it. Anger. So we start with the basics. So we are manifesting generators. And I think it's important, at least for me, I'm a Sphinx and I care deeply about this knowledge and the correct trajectory. The manifesting generator isn't a fifth type. It isn't a fifth aura type. It's a subtype of the generator. We still have the same open and enveloping aura. It's very important to remember that, because I think I don't think, but our auric structure is the same as the generator. So, but just as we're inside the door here, kind of, and knowing that we're still a generator aura, you know, there are some, for me, some very clear distinctions between a manifesting generator and a generator, undoubtedly. I mean, they are very different. So I can see why people maybe get confused and think it's another type, but I think it's important to make a difference on how we operate and the auric layers, shall we say, the lining of our aura, how it operates electromagnetically. So what makes us unique is our throat definition. Every one of us have a defined throat center, and every one of us have a defined throat center to an energy center, to a motor center. That's what makes us this other type or subtype, the manifesting generator. And which also brings us to the theme of today, which is anger. So the manifesting generator, not self theme, is frustration plus anger. It's a build-up of frustration that erupts into anger. If you had a look lately at the group, the manifesting generator group, I pinned a post with a quote from Ra where he goes more deeper into this aspect of us with anger. And he says, basically, in that text, basically, it's not as much anger as it is rage. And I can, you know, I can relate to that in my own journey. But I see rage as a combination of those two here, frustration and anger. It's kind of like, it's anger, you know, fueled by a frustration somehow. And that's okay. I just wanted to mention that text. You can come back to it, but I will focus on the anger bit. I guess it's natural for me to host a podcast with this because I've dealt a lot with my anger. So yeah, that's the focus I'm going to have today. Of course, if you feel like talking about frustration also, I think it's also important. So you're free to talk about that. So this anger, we know from the manifester not self that his theme is anger. It's just anger. Whereas our not self theme is frustration, which is the generator not self theme, the pure generator. So we have these two things, frustration and anger. Frustration comes from the sacral center. When we look at anger, we can look a bit at the manifester because the chemistry of anger, it resonates with the throat. So just looking at anger kind of very objectively somehow, which human design helps us to do, is that we can look at why anger is represented in the throat. Or more kind of deeper maybe into the structure of the throat, what is anger? We get some pinpoints just looking at the body graph. The root is not included here, but the throat center is the center with most activations. It has most gates. And not only that, it is also the center which is connected to most other centers. I mean, it's unique in that way. It's very versatile in its connectivity, and it's also very packed with, you know, expression, with energies, you know, activations and actions. Another keynote to remember from the throat is a process called metamorphosis, which is a process that the throat goes through. And a metamorphosis, now I'm using my words, but it's changed at a very, shall we say, high explosive, high octane, high frequency level. And that high frequency comes to this openness of this connectivity in the throat. It means that the throat as a construct can handle all of these different types of energies. We know also that the throat is called the bottleneck, basically. Everything is kind of streaming through the throat to get expressed there. So it has this explosive nature. I mean, it's like, I see it somehow kind of like a, you know, like a nuclear reactor somehow. It's very complex. It can run very cool if it's, you know, not use the word for us, controlled, but I mean, if it's operating correctly, it can run in a, you know, in a very constructive way. But if something goes wrong, it explodes. So coming back to the theme of anger, anger is expressed in the throat because of this complexity. And, you know, it's kind of like the way I've dealt with anger in my life is not very, you know, complex, or, you know, it's, shall we say, it's a very two-dimensional expression for me, because kind of expressing anger, you know, generates anger. It's kind of like, it's at the personality level, anger is not something which is nice. But we will look deeper into the construct and kind of see what's beneath this expression of anger. So again, a little bit about anger. Anger as an energy in the body or design is for me one thing. Anger expressed in the personality is another thing. So if I'm going to use a practical example, if I go to the step where I'm, you know, losing myself and I start to shout and I get angry, there has been an energy in my body that I'm in my not self, I'm expressing in a detrimental way, because I don't get anything out of it. I mean, I very rarely get anything out of getting angry and shouting. I mean, I'm very rarely in danger in my life. But maybe when I'm in danger, you know, it's constructive, because they will get afraid and, you know, stop doing danger to me. But still, you know, I can't help myself from kind of expressing this anger in the personality. And, you know, it just doesn't have any kind of constructive way. Anger as an energy in the body is very constructive. I will come into my design and my journey, but if I respect the anger in my body, I don't have to get to that point where I'm kind of bursting out and, you know, have to exemplify that anger. I'm a big fan of bodywork. I'm a yoga teacher. I think I started with bodywork at the same time or a bit before human design back in 2007. And I'm a 2-4, and you know, I love my body, and I like to use it, and I want to add this personal note to kind of my investigation with anger before we get into each story here. We have something called shoulder blades. And they are part of this construct here in our chest. We know our shoulders very well, but they are actually innocent. They are just mechanical. They're programmed much more from the shoulder blades and the arms and the chest, and you know, from themselves. And I found a focal point for anger in shoulder blades. And that's been, I'm mentioning this, I guess, because it was very valuable on my journey to deal with suppressed anger in myself. Because like you, I've lived my not self. You know, I didn't allow myself from being angry, and I stored it somewhere. I'm not saying all the shoulder blades is only the place where anger is stored, but I think I found shoulder blades to be some focal point, some centrum of anger, or at least you can store a lot there. So what I've been working with in body work is what we call the fascia, which is muscle fibers, basically, that forms this web of fascia, soft tissue that we have in our body. And you can think of the soft tissue a little bit like our aura, you know, the aura that is covering us energetically, encompassing us and constituting actually our flesh and bone, etc. The fascia, the soft tissue, it operates a little bit in the same way for the skeleton, for the bones we have in our body. It encompasses all of our bones. It holds the bones into structure. And it's the soft tissue that basically programs our whole physical tensegrity, shall we say. So when I'm getting into I'm getting my chart up here next. It was kind of a paradox for me during my way with human design. When I met human design back in 2007, I already, as I told you, started my yoga journey, and I have an open ego, as you see here. And you know, that was me before. I was like, you know, I was the guy who everybody liked. You know, I was going in for being liked by the ones who didn't like me. I mean, it was just open ego proving a lot. I have an open solar plexus, I have an open root, open spleen, and also open head. We know from the knowledge that the open centers without any activations is the centers you usually are most conditioned in. And my crown is wide open, so you know, I'm still I'm probably still confused and you know, figuring out the crown more and more. It's I think it's next in my journey. But what I became aware of first in my journey when with human design in terms of deconditioning, it was the open ego. How I was in this very unconscious in the beginning, how I was in this proving game. And this is a place where I buried a lot of anger. This not self version of me who went in to be liked by everybody. You know, it's just unbelievable for me now to even think that I was a person like that. You know, without any borders, limits. It was an internal pressure to be liked by everyone more than there was kind of personal about it. It was just the setting I was in. And thankfully at that time, the partner, or at least the mother of my first son, she was also into human design, and she's emotional with the 59-6 and a defined crown, quite my polarity. But we used human design, and I'm very happy for that, because we were in a lot of conflicts. You know, if you know the 59-6s in your life, you might know this, but you know, some conflicts are constructive and some conflicts are, you know, forget about it. So some of these conflicts were very, very constructive, and the projections I got on myself that I was very passive aggressive. And you know, again, reminding you, I was a yoga dude. I was, you know, going in to be liked by everybody. I think, you know, genuinely people liked me, you know. I think I was a likable guy. But just this dimension of anger in me, you know, it was just no existent for me. I was never angry. I didn't see myself as angry. And this passive aggressiveness that the mother of my son was projecting on me, you know, it took me years before I even started to see that she was onto something. So my journey is kind of coming from a place, you know, where I haven't looked at this anger at all, or I just buried it. I really, really buried it. Quite strong, I would say, just having the opportunity now to look back at it, because I mean, I didn't have a faintest idea that I was an angry person. I had to discover my anger, you know, really, like, you know, go for a search and discovery to kind of find out about it. And of course, human design was the map of it, you know, to look at this side of the anger in me, because it was just not part of my mental construct that I could be angry. But yeah, I am angry. And I've been 13 years into human design, and this feels like a, you know, anonymous alcoholics meeting, you know, anonymous angry meeting. Like, yes, my name is Christopher, and I'm angry. But yeah, it's a little bit like that, actually. And I guess I owe my development, also transformation, to people in my life that's been in my life at certain stages, and that kind of has helped me embody the anger. But body work, that's why I'm kind of mentioning this with shoulder blades, because really that I've used a lot of hours on my shoulder blades in different types of body work, and that helped me, I think, to release some suppressed anger. You know, all of that anger I never, you know, never expressed before, you know. And I just like put there because I was just gonna be this nice guy. And I guess over the time releasing that, and I'm not here to push, I'm a 2-4 missionary, but I'm really not here to push body work on you. I mean, that's just up to each and every one. I'm just kind of telling you my story. But I think with the help of, you know, body work, and again, thinking, you know, opening my shoulder blades, you know, in conjunction with using human design and kind of experimenting, kind of letting out this side of myself, which was angry more. that helped a lot, and that kind of that helped me kind of over the time again. You know, it's you know, we manifesting generators, we are, you know, inconsecutive, so we jump forward, you know, and we have to go back and miss some steps, and it's really an abstract journey. But I would say, looking back over the time, I'm coming more and more into my anger energy of the body. I still have a lot of work to do. I still, you know, just use anger kind of a bit uncontrollably sometimes. You know, I think measured for the situation I'm in, I literally don't think I have to be, you know, express anger in my personality if I'm not in danger. I think that's the only kind of maybe reason to use anger for my part. But using the anger energy in my body is very, very important, because that's, shall we say, anger energy in my body, which is for me more of a kind of strong sensation of, you know, rejection or no, or, you know, just nothing interesting. It's been important for me to embrace that part of myself, to kind of see, you know, that I also have a certain set of limits, you know, with other people, you know, and this is, you know, very open ego talk. Not all of you are open ego here, but again, this is my little deconstruct we're doing here now. Now, when I'm living my anger more and more kind of in touch with it, I can sense much more before now, when I'm entering into something I don't like, for example, that my open ego before would be like, yeah, whatever, we have energy forever, just as long as I'm liked. But then kind of just getting down the road, and then you have to deal with frustration or anger at that point. Dealing with anger earlier, or the energy of anger earlier, makes it easier to make correct decisions, basically, or put myself up in spaces where it's correct for me. But, you know, I think it's just amazing with human design, because it shows the map for us who are this kind of flaky hot potato sometimes, you know, or just this, maybe just this, you know, inconsistent type, you know, like, what are you, you know, what do you do in life? And you're like, oh no, you know, I have this circus bag of stuff. You know, we are this odd type, especially when you're looking at us in terms of the pure generator. So I think it's amazing to really put our type on the agenda here, and because I think, I'm not going to project this on everybody else, but I saw how important it was for me to get in terms with my anger, looking back before, you know, being more passive aggressive, and I didn't see what that did to people around me, you know. And it's a paradox, because now when I'm more, shall we say, aggressive, you know, not passive but more aggressive, people are different with me also. So it's such a paradox coming to grips with this anger, and it just shows to prove that, you know, anger is a real thing, it's part of the construct, like channel of struggle, for example. You know, who wants struggle? But sure, you know, struggle is something constructive in the whole thing, you know. Anger is also something constructive in the whole thing. Sorry, I'm just having a little ant invasion on the side there. It's warm in Bucharest, Romania, and I put a couple of bananas there, and they were all on it. So guys, I will shut up now. The parrot has spoken. I will go out from this presentation here now, because I want to bring up your individual charts now as we go into one-on-one. And I made a list I will have a banana. Okay. So I made a list, a democratic thing. The first one who's registered is the first one who gets the word, and then I go down the list. Let's see. So the first one would be Chelsea. Are you here, Chelsea? No. Karen. Yes, Karen is here. That I know.
I'm here.
Ah, finally another voice.
Great presentation, by the way.
Great presentation. Thank you for sharing all that.
Thank you.
Experiences.
Thank you. Nice to meet you. You're in Indonesia, right? Or?
No, I'm in Los Angeles right now.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, Karen, let me just get your chart up.
Sure.
Karen. Let's see here. Where were you? Just a second here. Okay, I just have to do it like this, Karen. Bear with me.
Okay.
Can you see the chart?
Yes, I can.
Cool. So, yes, you are a pure manifesting generator, shall we add?
Whatever that means.
Whatever that. Well, for the ones who I'm kind of playing a little bit with these types again, but the 34 is the only one, the only sacral gate that connects directly to the throat. So it has both of these elements of frustration and anger, I guess. So it's interesting to hear from you then about anger. You want to go straight into it, or?
Sure. I think I when you said passive aggressive, I'm one of those, because it's hard to express anger in a constructive way, because I just don't know how to, I guess, until it's ready to explode, basically. Yep. With that ego center being open, you always try to be nice with everyone, right? So playing in that not self of like, oh, okay, I have to behave, I have to be in a certain way, especially coming from a culture, an Asian culture, where you don't show emotions. So yes, I store the anger, and especially anger, I think frustration. Well, maybe frustration, so I don't know, but I do store them in my body. Like when you're talking about shoulder pain, I've had tightness from here all the way down on the shoulder level, the shoulder blade area. It's been going on for like a long time.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, it's just it goes into the body. I mean, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, anything else? You also have the 4323 up here. You have all in unconscious, by the way.
Yes.
Wow.
I am having a hard time figuring out myself. Just put it that way. Yeah. It comes and go. I think like I came across human design in 2017, so I've only been experimenting this for a good 3 years. So yeah, I'm learning a lot about myself and trusting my own body reaction, especially when I, like what you said, going in and going into like a commitment or a space or relationships. It's really, although I don't have the emotional waiting time, thank God. Sorry, but for the emotional people, but it's really, I mean, it becomes more important for me this day to kind of like take a step back even before saying anything, which is hard because sometimes, because I think with my design, it's very fast to respond.
Yeah. And
it's hard to hold back.
It's also this, this where thoughts must be deeds. This
What again?
The channel there, where thoughts must be deeds is a keynote to that channel, where it's kind of the way I understand that is the one who kind of like it's the nice one. Everybody knows you're nice because you say yes to everything. You help with everything. It's like, yeah, that's Karen. She's super cool. I'm sure you are, but when I talk to people, when I coach people with this one, I'm like, say no to everything. Just say no. Just say no until like, not because maybe you miss some stuff, but I think it's hard to say no a little bit, and then just get used to it somehow. And
yes, especially when I become the manifester. Like all of a sudden, I initiated the idea, and then I'm like, oh shoot, what did I just say? That's kind of hard to say no after that, but I'm playing with it, so I kind of warn people that hey, these things could change, just to give you. Enough warning that when the energy suddenly disappear, I have a way out. But it's a practice. It's not always happening. And sometimes I'm just like in a jam of like, okay, what do I do now?
It is a process. I mean, it's years and years and years for me. I mean, I think I was a bit of a slow learner up in everything also, but yeah. Oh, well, Karen, nice to hear from you. Anything more you want to add?
No, that's it.
We're going to come back to our Q&A in the end. So if you have something, let us know.
Okay.
Thanks, Karen. Nice
Thank
to hear
you.
from you. And thanks for the tip in the beginning. You saved me a bit of a struggle there.
No worries. Thank you.
So let's go to Annette. Is there Annette here? Yes.
You hear me?
I can hear you, Annette.
Fantastic. I don't have a picture, sorry.
Well, let me get your chart up also. I should have it here. Annette Aveline, right?
Yes.
Okay, I will share it on the screen here now. Hold on a second here. Yes. So you are, yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So tell me us a little bit about yourself. Where do you live?
Toronto, Canada.
Cool. Nice.
Yes.
Nice. I just enjoy just to connecting with people in the world with human design. It's such a
It's fabulous. I
it's
love
magical.
this.
So you, quite juicy chart on it, I would say. 5-1, heretic investigator.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a challenge just to understand components like projection, things like that totally frustrated and angered you when you were pre-human design are things that are, I think they're complex concepts to grasp. And, I'm getting to it, getting there,
I think
Ross said 7 years.
Yes. Yeah. How long have you been into design?
It's funny. I discovered books and I picked it up and I looked at it and I said, what the heck is this? I put it down for years. I picked it up again. And because I have a strong background in astrology and other, I guess you could say metaphysical sciences, I finally, and many years of experience with I Ching and all that, I said, oh, now I'm ready for it. I think your mind really has to be ready for this sort of I don't know if you could say it's a very mercurial science, if you will, because on one hand, just like all the Hermetic sciences, it's very serious and you are in awe of the complexity of it. And on the other hand, in a Hermetic way, it's very bizarre and absurd, or it seems to be on the surface. So you really have to be willing to accept it as an initiate. So, yeah, so I can't tell you how many years. It was like a little bit and off and
but
on.
a good while. But I can see it also from your chart that you know, one thing is your emotional wave, maybe being, you know, ready for such a thing, but also your mind is. I have an open mind, you know. I cannot even begin to think how deep you go with stuff. So,
Yes, I can agree with that. Yeah. But the emotional wave, boy, that's a powerful thing to deal with. And I never thought of myself as emotional when I was younger. But there you have it. You learn about yourself so deeply with this science of differentiation. Yes.
Yeah. What does that give you, knowing that you're emotional? And
it has given me the empowerment to understand that I don't know, that my feelings are authentic, that they're not some sort of chaotic mess, and that the complication or the contradictions of how you can be a strong thinker, because obviously I have a defined head, and you can imagine how frustrating that is. Because I have very defined ways of thinking about things, but then I had to surrender that to my emotional body. Wow. And how do you do that when you're like, you think your brain's always right or knows everything? It's very hard, and you have to completely release every preconception you have about, you know, being a smarty pants, or just, you know, thinking you know everything, and let your body decide. And over the last few years, the experiment of just understanding when I feel resistance in my physical being is extraordinarily, it's a breathtaking feeling when you feel that clarity. It doesn't come all the time. You know, you have to leave a space open for it. But I'm getting there.
Oh, wow.
It's a great thing.
Wow.
But I still have problems with the strong negative frustration and anger emotions. That's, you know, that's something that takes a long time to work on, I guess. Yes.
Amazing. That was beautiful to listen to, Annette.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, it was. You was hearing from an emotional define also, and hearing, you know, just hearing from you speaking from your wave was just beautiful to listen to. I mean, I'm open emotional, and I think I've studied this emotional center quite a lot. I know a lot about it. You know, it's poetry for me, and it's very beautiful. And I mean, it's also very, you know, you know, what's the word for it? Something I just want to get rid of somehow, you know. And
it's a blessing and a curse. It's something like that, maybe. I don't know.
But I don't know what I would do without it actually in my life. And it's kind of, every time I say that, it's like a paradox, but that I need this center in my life. But I think I do it for my, you know, for my fulfillment somehow, to just learn about it. And in the cracks between all of these waves, I mean, there's something amazing there.
Yes.
Yeah. Quantum GUI, I call it. Well, at least when we're looking over to the raves and a little bit ahead in time. So happy to have you here, Annette.
Thank you.
Anything more you'd like to add before we...
Well, yeah, I just want to say that sometimes in my experiment, when I'm not paying attention, when I'm not aware, let's say you're working. I have a day job. I mean, some people have they have businesses or they're independent. I work for a company. And last year, at times in my job, I was angry because that's what work does to you. You know, when you're with other people and there's like an impasse or something. And when I was really frustrated and angry, instead of expressing it, I thought it, and then I had a terrible accident. And last year, I had 2 critical injuries on the job, and I managed to break my left arm, which is my dominant writing arm. I broke it in 4 places, and I got a concussion too. So I think it's really, really important for manifesting generators who like ramp up very quickly. We ratchet up our energy and move very quickly. At least I do. And perhaps some of you can relate to that.
Yeah.
To be very careful and aware and try and maintain that when you're feeling highly emotional, because you can have an accident. And I found that was my experience, and I have to work on that, like just keeping my awareness awake in those circumstances. Anyways, thank you so much. I'm done.
Thank you, Annette. And I completely agree with you. Actually, you know, this explosiveness we have, you know, I don't know how many cuts I got on my fingers these 2 last weeks because I'm too fast and it gets explosives in the curves here. So yeah. I see you also have an open root. So you have a very interesting, just adding that to the end here. I mean, as a projection again, but we can see it quite clearly here. Your root is just very, very open, isn't it?
Yes, and I think that my root was part of my accident and all that, because I don't know how to deal with the pressure sometimes.
Yeah.
It's my emotional solar plexus that ratchets up really quickly, gets very upset, because that pressure center is something I don't know how to identify with. And that's when I had my critical injuries. Because I distinctly remember feeling angry and frustrated right before I fell down, both times last year. So yeah, that pressure center, that's a hard one for me.
Yeah.
And you know, it's easy when you're at home and you're having your peppermint-y, I'm going to stay calm. But then, you know, circumstances, you know, happen, and you have to be able to handle that. And that's a challenge, definitely. Yeah.
No, spontaneous. You're not here to be spontaneous with that open root and the spleen and defined solar plexus. So yeah.
I despise spontaneity. It's an unnatural state for me. Scares the hell out of me. And I wish I could, because it's supposed to be such a wonderful thing, but not for everyone.
No, it's not. It's not.
It's not for everyone, and I need people to understand that's not me, and I can't do it. And it's not. I'm not being difficult, and I'm frequently a hermit because I can't have people pressuring me and expecting me to be spontaneous. So I set boundaries, and it works for me most of the time. So I don't know how else to explain it, but boy, those are tough ones. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Great hearing from you, Annette.
Thank you.
Nice. Very nice. Okay, let's move to Micah. Is Micah here? Is there a Micah here? No, Micah didn't join, so we go to the next one. Gigi. No. Nanette we have here.
I'm here.
Hey, Nanette.
Hi.
Hi. Let me get your
Can you
chart
hear
up
me?
here. Here we go.
So that is not my correct chart. It's my fault. I'm in the United States, and I forget that different countries put their numbers in different order.
I have your wrong chart, or?
So I think that chart, since I put 7/11/77, for me that's July 11th.
Yeah.
And so this is
okay.
Yeah,
But let me just go and
I try to put it as my virtual background, but it's too big.
Cool, nice try, Nanette. Hold on, I will just get your. It goes fast. I have it in the data bus here, I think. Nanette. So edit chart. So it was 11th of July.
Yes.
I see. Sometimes this happen.
I should have been more cognizant that it's different in different places.
Well, it's always a little bit roulette when it's American dates. Let's see here. Okay, I will just download the chart and then open it, and then we should be good. Some reason I can just open it in Photoshop, but that would just be okay. This is your chat, right? That's you. Yep. Another 5-1.
Another 5-1.
Very consecutive here. Very good. Yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself, Nanette.
Oh, I don't even know where to start. I, like Karen, spent lots of years passive aggressive, not comfortable with my anger. Part of it was cultural, and I think part of it was I was raised by my dad, who is one of the angriest people on this earth, other than maybe our president here in the United States. And and so only recently have I started trying to honor my anger. And I'm now acknowledging it and trying to do a better job of not letting it explode, trying to sort of catch it before it gets to the point where it just kind of firecrackers.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'm still working on it. Still working on it.
I mean, there was something Karen said that I think was interesting. She said something like, you know, I'm much I'm rephrasing it probably, but, you know, more cautious about, you know, saying yes, for example, or doing stuff for others, being in a situation where you kind of are pulled into anger somehow. That's how I see it a little bit. Before, in my not self, I was just pulled in by everyone all the time. I mean, it was just like, come here, do this. I mean, it was just people wanted a piece of me all the time, basically. And I think that changed for me over the years, that, you know, very few people bother me anymore. So I don't have to, you know, there's not so much more resistance, but the few times it does happen, that's when I see that I'm angry now, basically.
I can totally relate to that. I'm, you know, the super nice person and everyone can count on me. And I've gotten, as an adult, I've gotten better at saying, well, I can help you if, you know, this and this, or if I have time, I'll put your thing on my list. Yeah. I've gotten better at that. What sucks me in are my kids. It's hard to say, no, I'm not going to make you breakfast.
Yeah.
And so and so both of my children are projectors, and my husband's a projector. And
wow.
Oh yeah. And so is my brother. Like, I'm surrounded by projectors. I'm drowning in a pool of projectors.
Wow.
It's really hard because I'm a doer and a maker and you know, I'm always moving, and my kids just lay around. And I understand that that's their design. And once I discovered human design and I could attribute that behavior to their aura, I calmed down a lot. Up until then, they were just lazy. And now I'm like, oh, you're living your design, laying around doing nothing all day. But also that means that, as you know, the generator, I generate everything for the four of us.
Yeah.
So I don't have the liberty, or maybe I do have the liberty. I haven't found the balance of generating for myself, generating for my husband, generating for both my kids, honoring who they are, and still not getting angry when I don't get to do what I want to do, or I don't get to have a response, right? Because we're supposed to wait for that response. But if I don't, like, for example, if I don't want to make breakfast for my kids, I can't wait till noon for, you know, like the feeling to go do that for them.
How old are your kids?
10 and 12.
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So they're at an age where they're mostly independent, but they still need me for a lot of things.
Sure. Wow. I mean, just thinking about your like auric climate there, where you are constantly under pressure from those open sacrals. I mean, I love projectors. I really do. I mean, I was in my introduction, you know, it was a projector when I was in a relationship with a projector for 5 years, but I come to grips with my anger. Actually, I owe a lot to projectors, and I was just swarmed around with projectors for a lot of years in human design, and you know, it's a lot of frustration and anger in it also, but it has really developed me. So I mean, I take my hat off for you. You are in their serious development.
I am, and I mean, I know that they're here for, like, right, I'm supposed to learn, and maybe I'm just being dense and not learning it fast enough. But like, my daughter's an open root, which is a whole nother thing. And so, yeah, so I guess I have gotten better generally at identifying and feeling and sort of, you know, popping the anger bubbles before they get too big out in the world.
But you have
is where I struggle.
You have a defined heart. I mean, you're not like me and some other girls who are this Mr. Nice guy. I mean, are you expressing if you are angry, for example, are you like playing nice with them, or are you showing that you kind of?
I used to not show my anger, and now in the past few years, my kids know if I say something like, "Oh, I am feeling really frustrated right now," that's their sign, right? And I'm learning to put words to it, right? Because mine bubbles up and it gets in my chest. And so I when they were little, I tried really hard to, you know, just stuff that anger down, which wasn't helping anybody. So now I try to, and I give them a warning. I say things like, "Hey, you guys, I'm going to be taking this online class. You're not going to interrupt me. So what can we do ahead of time?" Right? But then my daughter still has interrupted me, you know, 4 times since it started. And that's where my frustration starts to build, and I start to get angry. But I'm trying to focus, you know, on this because this is something I wanted to do. So yeah, so it's definitely, I'm trying to model appropriate anger for them and for myself. But that's still, I mean, I'm nowhere near a master.
Wow. Me neither. I think it's the purpose we're meeting together and have a little talk about this. I think, I mean, for me, it just helped. I mean, another interesting thing on my journey was to deal with shame. I mean, as an emotion, because shame was so unapproachable. I mean, like, what is even a shameful feeling? I mean, like, it was just a connection to something else, and I mean, it was just hard to really get grasp on that. And I think for me also with anger, it has been a little bit the same way, because, you know, like with shame, that like, it's like, no, there's nothing wrong, you know, and with anger also, there's nothing wrong with it. And, you know, I'm still kind of growing into this awareness that, you know, anger is okay, it's part of us, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, also I'm with Karen. Culturally, as a young woman, as a child, I was taught that it's unattractive in a woman to be angry, right? So then I've been, you know, sort of trying to work through that. And yeah, well, and I mean, really, I feel like I've used up a lot of your time. And I could
No,
go
no,
on.
no, no.
Anger and shame and
No,
cultural messages. And
take your time. You made it there now with your kids not bothering you. I think it's really cool to understand.
I'm hiding upstairs. They don't know where I am right now.
Yeah.
But no, culturally, I mean, the message is culturally where, you know, no man's going to want you if you're angry, if, you know, if you're a bitch. And so I didn't deal with so much anger for so long. And, you know, it was that stuffing down and stuffing down. Which Karen, I think it was Karen mentioned early on. Yes, lots of shame for being emotional. Yes. Well, and I'm an open emotional, which makes it even more difficult because I am the nice person who takes in everyone's emotions and then I amplify them for everybody, which is freaking disaster sometimes because I don't even know why I'm upset. I'm like, I was happy 2 minutes ago. I was so happy 2 minutes ago, and now I'm so mad and I'm so sad and all these things. And it's because, you know, I'm in the room with someone who had a bad morning.
Exactly.
And so, so much shame with anger. Shame and anger, both.
Yeah. They are very connected in my case also. I mean, I'm talking to you now, and I remember. I remember when I was this nice guy back in the days, not self. I was always smiling. I was going inside of my mind and like, I'm gonna smile, like smile to the guy on the street, smile. I was just like, I'm just gonna fix my smile. And you know, I in my deconditioning, I don't only I'm you know I have anger kind of coming to grips with, but also have something in my personality son, which is very, you know, I'm in my not self. I was open to everyone. I mean, I was just set to everyone basically.
Oh yeah.
And then in my correct self, I'm not open to everyone at all. You know, I'm very, 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 very limited actually. I lost my thread there a little bit. But,
I agree though. I spent a lot of years, I couldn't say no to anyone. And I remember someone being, you know, someone very casually, almost complimentary, calling me a bleeding heart. And I'd never heard that term. And I was just like, I don't want my heart to bleed all over the place. Like that's not, I don't want anyone to feel bad. I don't want anyone to feel sad. Like I was just always trying to take everybody in, right? Because I have my enveloping aura. And I was trying to take everyone in and help them figure out their health and make better choices and be happier. And it was leaving me, you know, completely drained. I was sick a lot for a while when I was a teenager. And now I'm realizing like I had no boundaries. I'd never expressed my anger. I was constantly angry or emotional because of my open emotional. So yeah, finding human design, finding this class, like this has all been, I mean, I wish I'd found this 20 years ago, but I'm happy to be here.
I was just thinking also if we can connect privately also if you want to go a bit deeper into looking at that, because if you want to do that, we can look at this open solar plexus in you. I mean, it's quite a composition you have given what you're telling, right? Also because it's probably something there, you know, in your you know, in the emotional place, that's kind of like where all of this energy you have, I mean, going into kind of distorting that a little bit. But I remember what I was going to say. I mean, I was smiling all the time before, and in my deconditioning, I actually, you know, had to train myself of not smiling when I saw people, because I was so tired. I was so tired of like having this feeling. If I was like, you know, I felt frustrated or I was angry and then still I smiled. I was just so tired of myself doing that. So I started, I mean, I really had to train myself doing it to like look neutral. You know, just see someone and just look neutral, you know, like don't smile, don't do anything, just like look neutral, like just look at them somehow. Because it took me a lot of practice just standing in that moment with them. You know, my open solar plexus also like nervousness, you know, coming back to bodywork. I just, instead of smiling all the time, I was breathing inside, so I can just hold the moment a little bit. But that helped me a little bit, just to kind of, if I was angry, at least I didn't look happy, you know, I didn't betray myself somehow, you know, that was important for me.
I'm going to think about that, because I wonder if I do that. I wonder if I still try to like look nice when I'm being angry.
Maybe.
I mean,
I think I also do. I mean, I think it's again back to shame somehow, and just like, here I am, the angry one, you know, and you know, I also am manifesting generate, and I think that part of us also don't like to be helped somehow in that somehow. So I'm most interested in just getting people away, or I'm most interested kind of getting rid of resistance, and that often is easier with a smile on my face. If I look, you know, I'm not smiling, people will start to ask me if it's not okay, or you know, they will start to investigate. So yeah, I think it's important to show, at least, or express somehow in our body how we feel, and then yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you, Nanette. It was great talking to you. Super nice.
Yeah, you
a lot
too.
of inputs. All right, let's go to the next one. Lasse, you have been waiting a while. Are you there, Lasse? Let me unmute you.
Ah, yes.
Cool.
Hi.
Hi, Lasse. Hold on, I'm gonna get your chart up. Here we go. Hey, Lasse. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you guys.
So, do you wanna tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, when you met human design, what it means for you? And
Okay, I'm 25. I live in Germany, and I'm into the experience now for about 4.5 years. And yeah, this conference comes right in time, because just a few days ago I was getting very, very angry. So there was, yeah, because I looked up the information about coronavirus after, ignoring it for a few weeks. So.
Aha, you just looked at this stuff.
Yeah. Okay, yes.
Yeah. Wow. It's don't let us get started even. I mean,
no.
Angry stuff. But how did it feel becoming angry? How did you experience it?
Okay, I have a little bit different experience with it, because I feel like I have a very high awareness of myself, maybe because of the 57 or the 43 channel.
Yeah.
Or maybe the 20 in my sun gate. So my whole life I was, maybe because of my 6'3" profile, I didn't like going to kindergarten. I hated the school system. And so I was in a state of constant frustration, I guess.
Yeah.
But I always knew better not to let it out against someone, because I know it's nobody's fault that we have this school system, for example.
Yeah.
So when I'm angry, I'm never angry about a person, but I feel like I'm constantly angry about, I don't know, the system, the whole world. I like to be free, and I have the feeling I know better how life could be better, but I can't do anything, and that's making me angry.
You mean life for your personal, or life in general on Earth, or?
Mm. I don't know. I didn't figure it out yet, but
I see you have the channel of community. I mean, you're a split definition channel of community there, and yeah,
yeah.
you know, there are explosive energies also in this one.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I thought about it. It's like an island because it's not connected to the throat or to the other centers. So it's like it builds up for a long time until I let it out alone in a room.
Yeah,
it doesn't happen often, but when it does, it comes like like a thunderstorm. Yeah. So my problem is I have the awareness of it, but still I don't know how to change anything. I also have very tense shoulders, and like my upper body is completely tense. It looks like I would work out, but I don't do anything.
There was Barbara Lenoble, Barbara here from the chat. She mentioned something very important actually. Looking at your profile, you're a 6'3", but we know from you said you were 25, so you are coming up on your first Saturn return. We know that's between 28, 32, around 30 years old. So what's unique for the sixth line is that we all go through these phases of Saturn returns, but the sixth line really like embodies that journey. And what the sixth line is not in the first 30 years is a sixth line. It's a third line. So you are living your life now as a not a 6-3 but a 3-3, which is a martyr. So we know from the knowledge. I mean, I know from experience also that everything which is going on now is just trial and error. I mean, this is my own wording, but it's supposed to be wrong now. I mean, what is correct for you won't come before the first. It will start to come before the first Saturn shift, basically. So you're supposed to be in this trial and error, to be in maybe this place where you see what you see, the shortage of things, and feeling things about that. And you're also coming into the end of that first shift. So I guess it's building up, it's accumulating for you.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I guess it's all about acceptance of who I am.
Yeah.
But yeah.
You're awesome, man. You have an awesome design. Super cool to meet you. Super cool. You have the channel of Beat, the 214. I have that one. Can really relate to that one. I think you can just relax, Lasse, with everything, because you are so set on your trajectory. I mean, everyone can relax, but I mean, since I have the 214, it will take you where you're supposed to be. I mean, you don't have to think of where you are going in life. You can ponder it, you can like fantasize about it, but know that it's set. And that setting it won't be revealed to you before you are in that phase of your life. It's an individual gate. It brings mutation. So the change here from A to B in your life is going to be, unexpected. However, I know from a 214's way that when I've been in a period of my life where I have been going towards the end of that period, I didn't know that I was going towards the end. But looking back, there was this certain moments in my life, times in my life where I changed my life radically. But I didn't know that moment was coming. What I did know was that I hated the guts out of what was, basically. I mean, I was just like, it just kept more and more. It's like, you know, it's the snake shedding its skin. You know, you don't like that skin which is crumbling on you. It probably hurts a lot, you know, and but boom, something is under. So yeah, sit back, my friend. And
yeah, it's funny because I am in my second. A few years ago, I studied in a different city, and then after 2 years, I broke up. Like, I woke up in the morning and I said, "I'm breaking up." So, and I was free. Like, that was the happiest 2 weeks of my life after that. And also in that first college year, I've gotten neurodermatitis. Like, yeah, and that also
this
felt
one is
like
it's pretty severe. That can be pretty severe, no? It's like a form of meninginitis, or?
No. It's like the skin disease.
Okay. I got it wrong.
Yeah, okay. And that really also felt like there was fire from the inside burning out of the skin. So, and after that, although I don't have it now. So I feel like I'm in the right place. And since then, I really started to make decisions from my sacral center. And yeah, it's getting better, but yeah. What's also interesting is I have the 29 in my sun gate, and in every book you can read that it's the people who always say yes, especially the generators.
Yes.
And I haven't felt that at all in my life. I was always the guy who said no.
Well,
yeah.
you know, saying no in this phase of your life is probably the most healthiest somehow.
Yeah.
You might start to say yes after you hit your first Saturn return. So, but still, the gate 29. Yeah, well, it's in your personality, son. So for sure, it's gonna come. I mean, it's an electromagnetic with 46, which is channel discovery. But it's also the gate of saying no, the 29. I mean, it's always a binary, right? In human design, it's open or defined. If it's gate of saying yes, it's also gate of saying no, etc.
Yeah, I feel it right now. Now I feel like I'm in the right place, and I'm starting to say yes more and saying yes to life more. So I feel like I'm on the right track.
Nice to meet you, Lasse. We will go further on. If you have some questions, we can take them also in the Q&A after.
Okay.
Super cool, man. Then we have come to Anne-Marie. Let's see here. Anne-Marie. There we go, Anne-Marie. Hey, let me get your chart up. Let me get your chart up so we can go into... here we go. Yes. Hey, Anne-Marie. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
You're a 4/6. You're a 4/6 MG with emotional authority.
Yes. I'm starting to get familiar with my emotional side.
Yes.
Yes. Well, you might ask what I'm doing here, but I'm not familiar with anger. Not at all.
No.
And I was wondering, like, am I not seeing something, or am I missing something here? And I asked my sister, who is a projector, and she knows me very well. She says, you don't have it in you, so.
Well,
and I have a frustration, definitely, melancholic waves, sadness. I recognize all that, but not angry. Anger, not.
Well, you know, we've been talking about anger now. I mean, it's part of our not self theme, you know, and our our signature is peace. So we shouldn't always just measure ourselves by the one thing, but if you're starting to know your emotional center,
I have all the waves.
you have
Every
you
wave.
have yes, extremely. I mean, I fascinating chart to see that emotional definition there with the 3 individual definitions you have. Really something. Mm-hmm.
Yes, a lot of melancholy, and I know I withdraw a lot because I have the 4th line. I get people fatigue. I recognize that. I've done that my whole life, withdrawing.
Mm-hmm.
And also with the 6th line. So maybe that's the right compensation for the anger. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. I mean, you're a 4/6, and then you're also so individual there. That whatever you do with it, that's you. I mean, it's you found your way of maybe living it out. Or I mean, I guess it's the way I've dealt with anger, kind of coming from a passive aggressive place, shall we say, putting it into my body. I mean, I'm much more peaceful now in my life, and I know where I want to be. It's peaceful. Before, I was much more unaware of that. I would say I was much more chronically frustrated before in my life somehow. Kind of life drowning you a little bit, and in that I started to find these themes, but yeah, maybe you found your way of dealing with anger. Are you curious about anything about
No, I was just wondering if it was unconscious in me, and being here could show me maybe, or reflect maybe on that. But yeah, I noticed it's really a theme with most of the MGs, but it's simply not here. So
nice. Well, it's nice to hear from a peaceful, happy Anna-Marie. It's perfect. Good. It's a good role model. Very good. Very good.
I don't know about that, but in this case.
But maybe try to use another analogy of it also. I've seen myself in a group setting as one who delegates. I'm not so good at working with people, generating. I need to do things on my own. I'm also individual, but I'm good at delegating. How do you feel yourself in a generative process, working with others, working alone? I mean, do you feel, do you like to work obviously you like to work alone, I would imagine.
Yes,
but
I like to work alone.
Yeah, how can you feel around if you have been forced to work in a group or in a group setting? I mean,
I'm even withdrawing within the group. I'm just observing. And
yes.
only when people call me out, I would really join actively. But
that sounds very correct. Sounds very nice. Very nice. Because I guess that's where I can feel my anger. Not necessarily angry, but how I can. When the anger energy is in my body, I mean, it's again, it's a lot of energy coming to the throat, so it's kind of like it's a directed energy, and if that energy is obstructed in any ways, there's this potential for reaction, for my personality reacting in an angry way.
Yeah, but maybe I was wondering if it's maybe filtered through the G or something. I don't know. Because I have no direct connection to the throat, only through the G. So
Yeah, it's the same as I have basically. I have the 214 and I have the 1333 on the right side. We have the 18. I guess it's another way of kind of maybe speaking about that anger is the energy of anger is also in terms of navigation. I mean, it's as long as you get to operate alone in your own way, basically, maybe you're not meeting so much resistance, which couldn't result in anger. But yeah, nice to hear from you, Anne-Marie. Where do you live, by the way?
The Netherlands, but I'm moving to Barcelona in a few months.
Ah, okay. Nice. Nice to meet you. Any questions you have? Was a no? Can you hear me, Anne-Marie? Hey, Anne-Marie, are you there?
Oh, my connection was gone for a while. Sorry.
Okay. Do you have any more questions before we move on?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Nice to see you. Then we'll go to, I think it was Barbara now. Yes, Barbara.
Hi.
Hi, Barbara.
Hey, hi. You want me to? Oh, I can also. Hi.
Cool. Yes.
Hello. I'm outside. Sorry, it's very sunny and good, but
Are you still
I think
outside?
I think I turn off the video just so you just hear my voice and see my design. That's
Yeah, sure. We have your design up here now. You
yeah.
are 6'2",
I am.
manifesting generator.
Yes, I'm on the third phase now, 1.5 years after Chiron. And well, let me just talk a little bit about my anger experience.
Yeah.
Well, I was also a third line, of course, in the beginning, and I had a lot of emotional problems as a child. And yeah, as you can see, I speak directly from my solar plexus.
Yeah.
So, well, I don't even know what I feel. It comes out, and then, and as a child, it was very difficult. And I lived in a family with 5, and all my parents and my sister and brother, they were all open solar plexus.
Ah, yeah.
So I always felt kind of weird in that setting.
Wow, that's special, Barbara.
Yeah, that was very well. Later, of course, when I met human design, it all fell into place.
Yeah.
Because of all the well, it was a lot of sadness actually. I found it out later, and I didn't hear anyone say it yet. But for me, there's anger is just an expression of sadness, but it's not all the time sadness, but it's like a feeling of you're powerless. You cannot express yourself correctly. Well, this is my experience, okay? So maybe other people experience it differently, but that was what anger was for me. And I was in the first stage, I was active aggressive, I think. And then in the second stage, I learned to manage it, and I kind of looked at it more mentally. It was my on the roof period.
Yeah.
And then that's when I became a mother, and I have a son. I was 32 when I had my son, and he's a 6'2", also manifesting generator, also emotional.
Ah, nice.
And what happened when he was about 4 years old, well, he expressed so much anger all the time. And well, he was mirroring me, I guess.
Wow, amazing.
So I had a lot of lessons to learn. Well, that it was not the right way to put my anger down, because that I was trying to do very good. I'm the role model, and I want to do good. I am very hard on myself. So when I went to somebody to help me with him, because I thought my son he's autistic or he has problems. I thought so many things, but well, that man said to me, you have to work on yourself. He's just mirroring your underpressed anger or your sadness. so that's when it all started, the awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was a long process. And then I think after 10 years in the process, getting better, I tried to figure out who am I, what am I doing here? And then human design, it was about 3.5 years now. It came into my life and it was the missing link. I got very emotional when I saw my design because I already figured out that I was emotional. I knew about my not self themes as not, you know, the self-worth of the open ego and the stress from the open root. I all knew it, but I never saw it in a picture. And then, well, when I saw my design, it was so such a relief, actually. And well, now we are 3 years later, and yeah, I still learn a lot, and I still am in the middle of the experiment. And
Sure.
yeah, so that's and then now when I feel angry, well, I still ventilate, but not aggressive, and I don't know, it's just more pure. I don't know, it feels more like, okay, now I'm angry, and then it's more focused or something, and people actually pay attention to it, and it has really a power now. And before it was like, I'm lost, you know, it was
yeah.
and now when I'm angry, it's the energy is like it's focused and woo, and then people say, whoa, it's I'm angry, you know. Yeah. So
nice to hear that. It's nice to hear the clarity in your voice, Barbara.
thank you. Yeah. I
mean,
really enjoy this, by the way. Thanks.
It's great to hear that. I also enjoy it a lot. I was just picking up a couple of things you said there about sadness, and seeing you have an individual emotional gate there. Also, it brings melancholy, and
of course.
I just adding that the side note, but my own experience, as I told in the introduction, when I came from this passive aggressive state, I was forced into conflict with this 59-6 for years and years and years. I remember being angry always made me sad, and it still makes me sad if I overreact.
Yeah, me too.
It's very rare that I have been angry, expressed it, and it feels right. I mean, that has been a couple of dangerous situations where it was called for somehow. So it also makes me sad somehow.
Yeah, because, well, that's my theory, but well, it's because I experimented a lot of different emotions in my life, and what I found out that you have a certain thought about yourself, somebody triggers it, and then it's like a button that somebody pushes, and you have a thought, and that's what reacts an emotion. Well, that's how it worked for me. And then when you start to reflect on it, actually it's just a sadness somewhere. And but well, true anger, for what Lasse was saying about the injustice in the world, I have that too. And then it's more like it's more like a powerful, you know, because then you can put the anger into action or into into a passionate statement. You can write, you can say, you can express your anger into something strong, you know. And then I think that's the energy we have as manifesting generators. That's the impact we can have, you know.
Exactly.
You hear me? Because I think the connection is a little.
No, I hear you well. I hear you well.
Okay. Good. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I remember in my journey, kind of knowing myself as an MG and looking over at the generators and seeing the difference and incorporating that anger into my role. That's where I saw kind of delegating coming into me as it was a fitting thing for my anger somehow, not expressed as anger, but I could give commands.
Yes.
And I don't think a generator has the same potential there as us, as giving commands. It made me see something interesting with the MG, that we MGs might not be the, or at least me, I'm not the most active one, which I thought I would be with these active throats, but not necessarily in terms of generating.
No. Maybe more in talking or something.
Something like there's something with this throat. There's something with this throat.
And also important, because I saw in the charts of other people here that what I learned it's the manifestor channel, the emotional channel to the throat, and both the 2212 and the 3635. It helps if you can inform a little bit, because that's a strategy, of course, for the manifestor. But when you are dealing with emotions, I learned nonviolent communication of Rosenberg a long time ago, and it's also about informing, and it really could be of help, maybe.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So far my contribution.
Thank you, Barbara. It was really nice to hear from you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, if anyone wants to know something specific, then they can always ask me privately or whatever.
Very good, very good. We'll come back to a Q&A in the end here also.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on. Thank you, Barbara.
You're welcome.
Do we have a Destiny here? I don't think Destiny is here. We will move to next. Celine. I don't think Celine is here either. Not Fabian. Daniel is here. Daniel is here. Yeah, of course Daniel is here.
Hello.
I've been seeing you for a good while. Hey Daniel, nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you too for the first time.
Yes, for the first time. Let me just get you your chart up here, Daniel. Okay. So we are dealing with another 5-1.
Yes, that's true. Another 5-1, another person with the channel of the beat. So it's interesting to see the similarities here.
Yes, very cool. Nice observation. I also, yeah, that's very cool. It's not so often I meet that many channel of the beats. That's cool. Yeah, well, tell us a bit about yourself.
Oh yeah, that was it. Okay. Yeah, I'm Daniel from Munich, Germany. So interesting to see two Germans on the call, at least.
Yeah.
And well, I guess anger is a continuous topic. So I'm really grateful for this call this week. And it's like Ra said in that post. It usually manifests as rage. There's this kind of silent rage that I often feel, that I often want to suppress. I still have a lot of this law of attraction conditioning, where it's a bad idea to feel anger and rage, because then you're not attracting the things you should or you could into your life. So I'm trying to decondition from that a little bit, and really be in approval of feeling anger and rage.
Yeah, I can relate so much. Back before also. I mean, now I don't know what happened to me. I mean, it's really on the opposite. I know I have to hold back a little bit. You know, at some point I was more eager to to express it somehow. But yeah, you have you have strong definitions here, as we can see. You are a split definition. So you have two ways leading to the throat. You have the sacral there via the G center into gate 31, your authority 1222, and you have the root down there with this activation to the spleen.
Yeah, with a lot of fear connections to the spleen, and that's also it's kind of an interesting dynamic. I push a lot through life, and I try to make my way through things like a manifestor, mainly because I'm afraid. It's like, okay, I have fear of the not the future, but oh my God, I need to be in purpose. I need to do things, and I need to correct things like the 1858.
Yeah.
So then I try to control things and push, whereas the other part of myself is actually more in flow, and I intuitively know what needs to be done. I attract all kinds of things into my life that make life easier. But then sometimes I'm so busy pushing that the other thing doesn't work out. So it's an interesting conundrum to experiment with. Yeah.
Well, you're a good reminder, because I was about to say this 2 or 3 times now, but I mentioned bodywork as a tool I've used, but I mean, I should have mentioned this to start with, but it's a typical MG style to mention it down the line. But strategy and authority is what really led me to this point today, where I'm much more comfortable with my anger, and I think I've realized it from before, kind of being passive about it. But I would say it's the years of following my sacred authority, coming out from, I would say, from my case, it was a kind of chronic state of depression somehow. I was kind of just, I didn't follow my sacral, things didn't really make sense. Then starting to follow my sacral, that has led me to like, okay, I'm feeling good in my sacral, okay, I can start to express my anger now, I can kind of test this hot potato out a little bit. But it's been a step-by-step process as such, actually, for many, many years. So acknowledging it, I think, was the first step.
Yeah, and for me, it's very much the same or similar, and I can really relate to that chronic state of depression. People have actually called me out on it, and I used to also overlay that with smiling and doing a lot of energetic practices to really keep everything down and keep myself in a positive vibration. And still, life didn't feel satisfying, and I never really felt. This is the thing about suppressing feelings. When you suppress one thing, you suddenly suppress everything. And I couldn't really feel the signals of my body that things were off, that my relationship was really going to shit, and none of us was acknowledging that. And really a lot of stuff around that.
Yeah, you're emotional. All of this you have there on the left side, and you have this thing on the right side there, and that's you. And I guess that's your way to it, is to, over time, just sink in with your emotional wave, and then allowing space to see how your ups and downs, is occurring. I think as an individual, and also with that type of wave you have, it has a specific frequency. So, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, Daniel. Anything more you would like to share?
Yeah, the thing about the emotional wave. So I guess in order for these gates to work, of course, you don't have to be emotionally defined. For example, the 49, no matter whether you're defined or not, because when you have emotions, they will still express through these gates. And with 49 especially, I've learned a lot about it because it's part of my incarnation cross. And it's really also about needs. So it's the gate of principles, but it's also about needs. And I really had to learn when my needs aren't being met, or my principles are in danger because of somebody did, whether it's myself or somebody else, then I'll notice that through my wave. The wave ratchets up, and I get triggered, and then I get more triggered, and if I keep that down, of course I won't notice that something's off. But if I really feel, oh shit, I'm getting angry, I need to make some kind of adjustment. I need to look there. Where am I not giving myself rest? Where am I not setting boundaries with people? Really, really important, but setting boundaries with people. If I don't do that, then either I keep pushing everything down, but anyway, whether I keep it down or not, at some point I'm just going to explode, and then it's going to be a nuclear detonation, and everything explodes. So yeah.
Actually, in the beginning, they mentioned rage, and I forgot about that. But I remember back when I was young, actually, I could go into this really rage momentum sometimes, and just like trash everything in my room, just like throw it around, just like scream and stuff. But I kind of forgot about that. But that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that has cost me a lot of money, stuff around, and in the end, the anger has to come out some way. Either it's aggression towards myself or the environment, or I just find some kind of healthy relief, like doing sports, really expressing anger to others in a controlled environment, or whatever it is.
Actually, I think I'm feeling inspirational. I think I want to host a Zoom kind of meditation yin yoga class. So maybe I'll do it with you guys. We can have a focus on the shoulder blades. Okay, Daniel, nice to meet you, man. Really nice. If you have some questions, we can also take them in the Q&A after. Let's move on to, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Uzge? Almost. Hold on, I will unmute you, Uzge. I probably didn't say it right. There we go.
Hi.
Hi.
It's Özge.
Özge.
Özge. I'm originally from Turkey. I live in United States for the last 14 years. I live in Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
And I am very new to this human design. I just found out about my body graph this week. And last night I saw this conference and I just sent you an email and you just accepted me. So I'm very new and I appreciate everybody else's comments about my graph. So I'm just learning. I'm a fast learner. I'm a researcher, and then
you definitely are. You are your profile is a 1-3, so you're an investigator martyr. I know those. They are really good investigators, researchers.
Yeah, and you told me we were born on the same day. That's exciting too, and have the same angle of the Sphinx.
Yes,
so yes. I'm just watching videos and reading more about it, but I am not very proficient yet about the centers. But I know that some of my centers are defined and I have so much going on mentally, so many thoughts, opinions about everything.
Sure.
And what helped me the most is in the last few years, by the way, I'm a Reiki master since 2003. And I have been interested in chakras, crystals, healing energies and everything for at least 20 years. But since I was a child, I was interested in the design of the universe, how it worked and everything. So I was a big researcher and I was isolating myself in my room. And I was very creative as well, but I was prone to frustration and anger all my life. And I had issues with family and relationships. And right now, my husband, we're recently separated, by the way, and we are both manifesting generators. I'm researching into all that as well. I have 2 kids, 10 and 6, and they are both projectors. So I don't know all, I just found out about their body graphs as well a few days ago, so I haven't memorized everything yet, but I'm researching into it, and I'm sure in a few weeks I'll be very good at it, since when a topic interests me, I can just work hard and learn everything about it, and I'm a good teacher too. And I'm also a certified emotion code practitioner. And what was I going to say? The thing that helped me the most in my life is that I learned muscle testing. After I learned muscle testing, all that chatter, brainstorming, and opinions in my head, I was able to shut it down and listen to my body get a yes/no question, asking
Very
my
good.
body,
Very
subconscious,
good.
and higher self. And then I solved most of my problems. So I recommend everybody to learn muscle testing.
Very cool. That's very cool actually, because I'm also I am a kinesiologist. At trained kinesiology, we also learn touch for health, muscle testing. So I know it very well actually.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Oskar.
Nice to meet you all too. And I would love to hear from you. I took some notes, too many notes. I am into astrology and natal charts as well. So I know my signs and the rising and the moon sign and everything, and I'm a combination of a bunch of other things. And for me, it's mostly the frustration that I cannot define why I am frustrated. And then it builds up, and then explodes from a very tiny thing, and then I regret it. But I was always prone to frustration and anger. Meditation and grounding or yoga or gentle exercise helps me the most. And being in nature helps me a lot. So, and I feel like I socially isolated myself almost all my life. Once in a while, I would like to be in groups and socialize, but I need my alone time. And I'm a individual worker. I like to design things, create things. My profession is, I studied architecture back in Turkey and worked as an architect and interior designer for many years. But after I moved to US, because they don't use the metric system here, I couldn't start working as an architect, and I pushed myself towards this energy healing thing, Reiki or other modalities, and then the emotion code, muscle testing, traditional Chinese medicine, Ayurveda, and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I work as an energy healer lately, and I would love to know myself better, to help myself first. Then if I learn all that, if I empower myself, I can empower others. So that's my biggest thing lately, and I'm still searching for my life purpose and trying to learn all the good skills I have so I can serve myself and others in a better way. And I would like to improve things, make things better in the world. That's how my brain worked since I was a child. That's why I studied design and architecture. But now I'm putting that into good use in like psychological and energetical ways. So I feel more fulfilled lately in the last few years, and I am always open to more knowledge and information and learning more and teaching those things to others. So I would love to hear from you now.
Very good. Nice to meet you, Oskar. You know, human design is like, it's an explosion when you come into it, and you know, you can't stop a MG manifesting generator for rushing into things. We're supposed to do that, but it takes years and years. So if you just embrace yourself for years of having really fun actually, and I'm really happy to meet you and that you come to this, and yeah, super nice to meet you, Oskar.
Nice to meet you too.
Let's see here now if we have Irina. Irina, we have.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Irina. That's you.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
That's me. Nice to meet you too.
Let me see.
Can you hear me, guys?
I can hear you very well. Let me see if I just get your chart.
Sorry for the usual setting. I'll just turn off my video because I'm at a chemo treatment right now. Not disturb your, peace of mind. Okay, so you will hear my voice. You saw my face.
Yes.
All right.
Very nice.
Okay, let's see. How do I do this? All right.
Can you see your chart?
No, I see my chart. I know not well my chart, but at least see the bottom. First of all, I am in Long Island, New York. Originally, I'm from Ukraine, and I'm living here on Long Island for 25 years already.
Oh, wow.
So I was listening to everybody, and there are no random people here. So everybody was either in the business for a long time or interested in the related subjects. So I'm relatively new to this system, but I was always into numerology, astrology, you name it, you know, whatever was available. And I envy a little bit of for the people who are younger because they have so much resources now. When I needed some answers, I needed to look, to go to the library or to search it. It was much more time consuming than nowadays, as you can imagine. So anger. I was confused about my anger. I knew that I can be angry, and I had a difficult time with a certain type of people to express my anger, not with everybody. I think that I sensed how people will receive my anger. So if I knew that people will punish me for my anger, I would put it inside and hide it. I don't know if it's familiar for somebody. I have undefined solar plexus, so I am a receiver in this, you know, way. So everyone who surrounded me with a defined solar plexus, at least they know how they feel. Basically, to put it bold, I had my own feelings, emotions. I projected from the people and amplified 10,000 times. For instance, if somebody's happy around me, I will return 10 times more happiness to them. If somebody is angry, oh boy. But again, I would sense how people will take my anger if I needed to scream out. There was no problem with my mom. In this way, she was actually, she is manifestor, pure manifestor, and my husband is pure projector. So you can imagine they don't have connection whatsoever, and I'm in between. So, and she was she didn't have defined. She was had undefined solar plexus, and my husband has defined solar plexus. But the problem is really that my base, my bottom is totally undefined and open. And lately I just realized that I hate being pressed into some time related action. For instance, if somebody told me that the dinner should be on the table by 6 p.m., I will have all the effort not to get on time this thing. I will sabotage it unconsciously. And then I realized lately that, well, I actually do it unconsciously. I sabotage any time framing. If there's a pressure, be on time somewhere, I will be always late. And I'm conscious about it.
It's actually good for you. I mean, the open route is.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Not. It is. You know, it's how our open route functions. What I also see in your chart, Irina, is you're 2145 from the ego to the heart, not to the throat, heart to the throat. It's interesting because if we talk about anger in its purest, most powerful form, this is the channel. If you hadn't been a generator, if you hadn't had the Kali 15, you would be a manifester. I mean, you're not a manifester, but boy, do I know manifestors with this one who displayed anger. I mean, it's directly to the throat. It's more ways of looking at it. It's also the energy center, which is closest to the throat. So, I mean, this is a very, very powerful channel.
Yeah, I know I can feel it, but again, I can be very nasty. But I am quickly to forget and forgive as well. I will not hold the grudge against anybody. So I can, and usually when I get angry, it's out of frustration. It's never anger than frustration. It's usually frustration than anger. Or I just speak up on somebody's anger. I never produce anger to begin with. Yeah. I'm a peacemaker. You know, I cannot produce, I cannot accumulate anger. It's bad for me. But I can victimize myself very easily, and I was doing it for many, many years until I got tired of it, truly, because it was miserable. It was misery, you know, to be a victim, and I'm not designed to be a victim.
Definitely not.
Yeah, so the problem with my spouse, he's a very lovely man, as I said. He is a projector. He focuses on me primarily. It's just, it's hard to explain, but when I'm around him, and he has defined solar, when I'm around him, it's very hard for me not to pick up his anger. When I step out, when I'm out of his reach of his emotional, call it whatever it is, or state of his mind, I'm totally free. So to the point that there's no point for me to stay nearby. Am I clear? Can you just understand what I? So and don't get me wrong, we are married for 31 years.
Yeah.
So I know that I can be conditioned heavily. You see, I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 centers defined, especially our mind, our head, my head, edge, and above. But my G, my throat, my sacral, my ego, everything is defined. So I'm pretty much kind of know what I am, except my root, which is, you know, manageable. I think once I understand how it works. But emotions, I need to learn that this is not mine. I need to not only learn, I need to catch on time, because whatever goes through me, it's not mine. I don't generate emotions. I reflect them and multiply. This is the hardest thing for me. So any comments, any you know, any advice that all these lovely people can give me in the comment section, I would gladly accept. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. And I'm still with you, of course, Dean.
Thank you, Irina. That was really nice to hear from you. You know, living with a projector, you have mastered it. I mean, for 30 years. Can't imagine. I mean, I have lived with them for briefer times, but I mean, the thing is always to take aura breaks, you know, and see the mechanics, learn the mechanics of the projector and your own mechanics, and you know, see how it interacts over time, and guide it from there. But yeah, nice hearing from you, Irina.
Same here.
Let's move on to the next one. Let's see. Is Helene here? Helene is not here. Gina.
Hi, how are you? I'm in Cleveland, Ohio.
Hi, Gina. Let me just share your chart here.
I have it, but should I put it on my screen? Is that how you guys are doing it?
I can do it from my computer, Gina. I have it up now.
Okay, cool. Thanks. I'm kind of new. I'm new at this, but I learned a lot in the past. I learned a lot in the beginning, and people were really generous in sharing information.
Thank you, by the way. Yeah, now I'm only listener. I'm done with my talking.
That's okay. And then I was trying to find a career because I've been out of careers, and I never really liked or happy where I was at, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I was taking care of my father who passed away a few years ago, and that's when I got into human design because I wanted to see if I could find out where I really belonged to be the best I could be. And I'm still kind of not sure because I guess it's conditioning. We all have it, we all have that conditioning. Yeah. And with reference to the anger, we'll get into that. I did try to look up some of my gene keys, and I think 40, and if anyone else has 40, I have 40, and I think it's stillness is the keynote to it. It's stillness. So, and I'm a sleeping phoenix. So I think I get really still for a long time, and then I kind of wake up like nothing's happening, nothing's moving forward, just like the job, nothing's happening. And then I get real, like, I want to make a move, and I want to make a move, something, and it causes frustration and then anger. So I think that's where I'm at right now. But if anyone else,
I think you joined after my introduction, or
yes.
Because in the introduction, I was telling people about my experience with the 59-6, which was key to me, realizing I was an angry person. Because the mother of my first child, she has the 59-6, and you can imagine, with her waves and me open emotional, it was just very much conflicts over the years. A lot of, as we know about the 59-6, there was some deep constructive conflict that really changed me. I wouldn't say changed me to something I wasn't, but it changed me from being a place where I was just an open ego, Mr. Nice Guy. I was never into conflicts at all. And she just pulled me into these conflicts with her waves. So it's interesting to see you have it. How do you relate to the waves in the 59-6?
I didn't hear that last part. What was the question?
How do you relate to the emotional wave?
I looked it up. I don't really understand it because I think when I was younger, I'm off of the roof, I'm off the roof. But I think when I was younger, I was so easygoing and things flowed more easy for me on its own without me thinking about it or having to be aware to make it happen. And now, here's what happened. A few people died in my family. A few very close people died in my family, and a relationship went somewhere else, like they're not around. So it didn't work out the way I wanted to. So all these things happened at once. And I think I started to really, that's when it really hit me that I don't know if I'll ever get that happiness back. And maybe it's because I'm not in a relationship, and maybe I need to start focusing more on that instead of focusing on my job. Got to have a job. Got to catch up. I got to catch up. Everybody, like my brothers and sisters, all had really good jobs. My family, and I always want to keep up, and I fell behind with relationships. Um, Bring me down if they don't work out. And when I was going on the roof and when I was getting off the roof, the same exact relationship happened with somebody ending up with somebody else and leaving me and getting married to somebody else. And both times it either put me in a tailspin, and the last time was a few years ago, so I never got out of it because I just got in a rut. So I don't really know how to get back to that. I don't know how to get back to that. Maybe I should read more about it and focus on 59.6 and read more about it and see how to get back that part of me. I don't know if it's gone like forever. Now that I'm off the roof and then the relationship didn't happen and the job, and I feel like I'm very stuck in very many ways right now. I don't know if it's transit or if it's the rest of my life like this. I hope not. You know, so, but I get frustrated, and that's where my anger comes from, because nothing's happening fast or at all. I don't see it happening, moving forward. I don't know why, you know.
Yeah, it's a lot of stuff happening in your design. Wow, you have the full integration channels, the roots to the sacral here, and a lot of energy going on inside of you.
I think I'm a single definition. And,
yeah, a very complex one.
You know, maybe I should, maybe if I don't, maybe I'm trying to do things that I'm conditioned to do. Maybe I shouldn't be looking for a relationship, or maybe I shouldn't be in a regular job anymore. Maybe I'm supposed to be an individual. I'm not even sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. It's still learning. I'm still learning.
Yeah, well, that's how human design is. You know, it takes time to, you know, to really come to some depth with it and really understand how it's you know, affecting our lives.
Did you say your ex-wife was a 59.6?
Yeah, I mean, she not technically my wife, but we split up very early. I mean, it's very 59.6 for me. You know, we had a child, and but we stayed close. We still are close, and she also worked with human design.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the 59.6. It really showed me, you know, what's important in life, to be honest.
Yes. Okay.
Thanks, Gina. Thanks for sharing. Nice to hear from you. Shall we see? Let's see here next in the list. I count Irina. Do we have Everett here? Yes. Everett.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, man. Nice to see you, bro.
Nice to see you. Nice to meet you.
Yes. Let me get your chart up here. I think I managed to. Everett. Yeah, here we go. Cool. So, another 4-6. A lot of 4-6 here today. So tell us something about yourself, Everett.
Well, I'm Everett from Bronx, New York.
Uh-huh.
I'm an independent contractor. I work for myself. I kind of had to step away from the quote-unquote corporate world because of me self-sabotaging myself over a course of the years.
Uh-huh.
And it was really more towards, I would say, me being emotional and really keeping things bottled up, because I'm very good at that.
Yeah.
But I think that led to me understanding myself a little bit more, because it wasn't really me having a lot of anger issues. It was because I let things bottled up so much that I would let it go over the top and then just blurt out and not care what anybody thought and everything.
Yeah, definitely. That's how it is. Doesn't have to go that far.
Yeah, but I actually learned about human design when I started to learn about astrology, which is about 2 years ago. So human design, I started to learn about a year ago now, which I'm still learning more about, because I'm going to start diving more deeper into my chart, because I want to learn more about myself, so I can also learn more about my son.
Sure, sure. Well, this is what I like about human design. I mean, I call it, when I talk to people a bit, like popularly, astrology 2.0, because, for me, human design deals with the aura. I mean, it's really an aura system. For me, I heard about the aura, but, suddenly this aura thing is very practical, and it feels real somehow. It's tangible. I can do something with it. So that, that really kicked me on onto it.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool, man. Yeah.
I think what more got me was, what was that?
No, go ahead, Brett.
What it was is just that I think after me really just, actually everything actually started after my one relationship that really just pushed me over the top when I started to learn about myself, because actually my son's mother, she would always say, "Oh, you're over emotional," and really had me started to think after we broke up, like, okay, what is it about me that she had to always say that I'm always emotional? So I really started to just understand myself on what was going on.
Yeah.
And then I think it was my last relationship just really pushed me to really start learning more about myself on what makes me tick, so when I can learn more about myself, to really find the person I want to love and how to be more of a better person to the people around me. And then once I got into astrology and then I found my North Node, my North and South Node really just started to make a lot of more sense on why I was the way I was, and just really to step back and really just start focusing on myself instead of others. And once I started to do that, I think everything just started, I was able to release a lot of things more easily. And forgiving became easier, really just letting things go, and really just be like, you know what? I'm only in control of what I can control, not what other people control of me. Because once I give other people control is when I lose control of myself. And when I start bottling things up, going back into eternally, and then starting to get all that anger, emotions, or feelings where I just didn't know, and then I hold it, and then somebody just pushed me all the time that one time, and then I start letting it out on them, and then I just really had to just refocus myself. So human design, like I really want to just dive into my human design, really find what made me tick and where not to really focus on the bad side, but more focus on the good side of what I can really help myself with.
Has it helped for you to know that, anger is part of our theme, that is part of our, it's the objectivity of it somehow?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool, man. Very nice. Cool, man. Yeah, anything more you want to share before we move on, Everett?
No, that was it. I really just wanted to learn and just get some input on the anger part of my chart, which really just helped me just get more focus on things.
Yeah, I mean, is there any, when you face anger yourself, is there a specific?
Well, normally when I feel that I'm going to start getting angry, I usually just try to divert it somewhere else where I'm not getting that angry emotion, where I'm going to be pushed over the top now. where I might just brush it off, joke it off, and then just, when I have time to myself, just reflect on, okay, what caused it, and just move away from it. And that's really has helped me a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I have to be honest with you, that specific channel you have, the 35, 36, it's, I haven't experienced it that much actually, so I'm kind of curious to see how anger kind of expresses itself from that channel. Yeah.
I'm really going to have to look into that channel now, because I'm just still learning out what all these channels mean and really just diving into it.
No, it takes time. It takes time.
Yeah.
Okay, nice to meet you, Everett.
Thank you, and nice to meet everyone.
Cool, cool, man. All right, let's see here in the list. Do we have Marisa here? Let's see. Maybe Marisa to leave. Taisha, we have. Taisha.
Oh, take off. Hello.
Hey, Taisha.
Hi.
Let me get you start up here.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Where are you from?
I am currently in Los Angeles, California.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Originally from New Jersey.
Mm-hmm. It's daytime, you know.
Yeah, it's almost noon.
Cool. So tell us a little bit about yourself, your involvement in human design.
Yeah. I had my first reading, like my first chart done in actually, yeah, it was so long ago, many years ago, but about 4 years ago, I had my first actual like explanation, like deeper reading of it. And I started to, yeah, like really look, well, actually it was like 3 years ago, where I started to really, you know, experiment with, you know, just like following my yes and no and, you know, what my gut says, even though I'm emotional. So there's always that, you know, it's not as clear, there's somewhat of a delay, but being that we're still actually generators, we still have that, like you said earlier, I still have that defined sacral. So just been trying to follow that and live my life according to that. And it's been amazing. You know, I've moved from New Jersey to New York City to now California, and it was all based on that. And I love it here so much. And maybe like where I'm located has something to do with it, with my chart, with my design as well. I don't know the depths of human design that much, but I have done a lot of studying. Last year, I started diving deeper last year into it.
I can imagine that you're going very deep with it, with your definitions there, with the channel of logic and.
Yeah.
How do you relate to
anger?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been a thing that, yeah, people have said to me, you know, like that they think I'm angry. And I was like, what are you talking about? Similar to your experience. I had a very similar experience and have wanted to, like, you know, access that and, like, you know, just find that in me. And I definitely can relate to being passive aggressive and,
but also, how does your split definition? I see you also have the 59-6 channel of mating. I mean, gate of conflict is part of that channel, and you know, that's how I know the 59-6. Except in my mother. Well, actually, she also has it. Actually, I know it from her also, but different frequency and you know. I experience these waves, and this is very, I mean, they can be very dramatic. I mean, from one point to the other, and not necessarily that emotional output is there, but maybe just a feeling, you know, I can see it on that you know, I can see a very huge difference in it somehow. So
the anger, you mean?
yeah, well, I also saw that in it, you know, and I'm curious about it somehow, how that wave, I mean, you see that your throat per se is defined to your heart, into the spleen, and to the throat, and that's kind of,
Which is separate from my emotion and my sacral.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the split is.
Yeah. I can imagine that the anger can get, in your case, that the anger can get, you know, when you're down in your wave, I mean, if you're really down, you know, the anger can get, you know, it's looser somehow.
Can get what?
And that the lower you are in your wave, basically, that the looser the anger can come out, basically.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
I think so.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm still sort of, it's very subtle, and so yeah, and having an open identity center, the G center, doesn't help. You know, I'm the split. But yeah, I'm doing a lot of work, especially in these times of self-isolation. I mean, even though I live with 5 other people, but I have more time to just connect more with myself and my body and the sensations. And I think some of the signs sometimes is like, if I'm like having repetitive thoughts, or like going over something too much, or like sometimes that can be a sign for me that something's happening that I'm not aware of, or like emotionally that I'm not looking at on a deeper level.
Yeah.
You know, or like maybe I got angry about something that I didn't see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's, you know, I think that's, I mean, hearing your emotional awareness also over time, you probably get to see these again, and yeah. Mm.
Yeah, but having I noticed recently that one of my housemates, he has his identity center defined, and he has the channel that completes like my 3313, and then he has, I think, 714. So then I notice I feel way more grounded in my body when he's near me, and like I can feel more connected to like even my emotional wave. Like,
yeah.
I can access my emotions more.
Well, I think you're right to a certain extent, but I don't think when you say access it more, that it's, you know, more correct, because I mean, we just know from this knowledge that our correctness is within ourselves, but definitely I think you experience something very powerful when you're bridged, you know, no doubt about it. But, and I guess, you know, that there are complexes with the open G that, you know, I'm sure is real. You know, I have a defined G, but yeah, you know, it's a good thing we have our chart to see that, you know, to see our correctness. That, you know, I guess my journey coming from where I was, you know, and who I thought I was, it just changed so much. And anger, coming to grips with the anger is one of the things that worked most for, I would say, because at some point I had to experiment with it, you know. I had to, like, at some point I gave up that nice guy, and then like, okay, should I experience just being angry or just being mean? And then, you know, I literally had to train myself not smiling. I mean, I had to like just looking neutral in someone's face. I knew that that was the key for me at some point. You know, I had to manage to look people neutral if I was supposed to, free out my anger. So that it took a lot of time and work with this.
That was the biggest thing for you. It was like the facade or the smiling and releasing that.
Yeah, because that allowed me to like have my little angry moment just for myself at least, you know. And okay, maybe they even saw it, and people could start thinking differently than the usual kind of projections I got on myself before somehow. I mean, it's a very complex deconditioning journey, you know. I have my journey with it somehow, but I mean, it took a lot of time, but.
Was there anything else that you did that was really helpful for you?
Rather than just decide having a crazy life. I mean, it's just no. I mean, it's just. I think to crystallize it. I mean, it's really following strategy and authority has been, the most valuable, because that brought me initially to a place where I saw that I was conditioned by my mind, and that mind conditioning was holding up all of these other constructs, Mr. Nice Guy, this and that. It was this kind of our not self. So exposing my not self, which for me didn't take 7 years, but I think it took 9 years before I was just, it said clicked inside of me, and it was really this kind of separation where I just looked down at I have sacred authority, and I had heard my sound so many times over the course of those years that I'd come to a place where it was like my mind gave up, and I was like, okay, I will try this out for real somehow. And from that point, I believed my sacral response. And that has opened up a window for me to see how my mind is conditioned, and how it has had this Mr. Nice Guy, or how it has had all these kind of negative constructs, basically. And in the course of that run, basically, I come to kind of realize my anger, and I'm kind of grateful that you bring it up, Tasha, and give me an opportunity to speak about it, because I'm very happy about my anger now. Not the one that I'm kind of going into the personality and feel bad about it. No, I mean, I really want to fine tune myself, that I don't do that. But I have a very high sense of self-worth and respect when I can act naturally in any given moment now, and if that's anger is called for, or just me being, not smiling to you, just kind of maybe I'm replying back to you because you are actually saying something mean to me, or whatever it is, somehow kind of standing my ground more. And the anger is, I think, it's more in my aura now. It's more or less a kind of invisible protection shield a little bit, like it's holding my experience.
That's beautiful. Thank you. I like that image of like it being in your aura now, and like a sort of protection. Yeah, I felt something in me hearing that.
Well, thank you for sharing, Tasha.
Thank you.
Okay, let's move on. I think we maybe just have one. Let me go over the list. Is Pamela still
Elsa!
Let's see here. Pamela, did she leave? And I think it's Sabrina. Let's see if Sabrina is there. Are you there, Sabrina?
I'm here. I'm here.
Hi, Sabrina.
Hi. Can you see me too?
I cannot see you, but I can hear you very well. That's.
Oh, okay, let's see.
You can try to share your video. I can maybe, there we go. Okay, so Sabrina, just I would just bring your chart up as we speak. What when's your birth date?
My birth date is 10/1/70. I emailed it to you again.
Okay, 10. I'm just taking directly at 10 January 1970.
Yes.
And the time?
I have to look it up because I sent it over. I think it's 7:22 a.m. Let's see.
Let's see, 7:22.
7:22 a.m.
Okay, and in where are you born?
Glendale, California.
Okay.
And you got the birth year, right?
Was it 1970?
Yes.
So let me check it again. 10th of January.
No, October 1st.
Ah, there we go.
Because you probably do the month and day opposite.
I saw you were a generator on that other chart. I was like, do we have a generator here?
Well, it's weird because I'm newer to this and I thought I was a manifesting generator, but when I looked at it again, it says.
Well, you are a generator. 1st of October 1970.
Yes.
7:22 a.m.
But I'm not sure why I thought I was a manifesting generator.
Well, you know, it's a bit funny that you are here somehow.
Right.
Let me get your chart up here anyway, since you are here.
Okay.
Yeah. No, you are a generator. There you go. Just look. Is it yours?
I think so.
So, how long have you been into human design? Can you hear me?
Human design for about 1 or 2 months.
Okay.
And I've just done some learning, watching some videos.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Well, nice to have you here, Sabrina.
Thanks.
Okay, so I think that was everyone. If I forgot someone, you have to let me know. So we can move over in a Q&A now. We already actually went almost for 3 hours. So we will make it like a little shorter Q&A. But if anybody has a question ready, just type in your type in the chat, and I will bring it up. Yeah. So I think it's we went for a good while. I'm just checking here in the chat if there was something more. I went into the presentation here again. Maybe somebody missed it. So we'll close it off with that today. Thanks everybody for your attention for almost 3 hours now. It's been really nice to meet everyone. We had a podcast about anger for manifesting generators. It was funny, Sabrina here was a generator, but she got to see how it was with a lot of manifesting generators. And again, just Here's all the charts of everybody who joined or was supposed to join. We had these even odds of almost perfect mix between open emotional and emotionals. It was very nice to be in that flow today, shifting between open emotional and emotional. I really enjoyed that. Yes. Okay. So, let's that be today. I will open all your mics. I think everybody's open now. No. There we go. Okay, guys.
That's the only code I have.
Thank you.
Thank you, Crystal.
Hello.
Have a nice
Everyone.
Thank you. This was wonderful.
Bye. Thanks, everybody.
a bunch of
Thank you.
manifestations. Super nice, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you all.
Bye.
Nice day.
I make sure Bradley will take care of him.
Or angry. Bye, Daniel. Bye, Oscar. Bye, Lasse.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye, Barbara. Bye, Sabrina.
Bye-bye, all of you.
Bye, Annette. Bye-bye, Barbara.
Ciao.
Ciao, Daniel.
Adios.
Adios, amiga.